It's the Cooper and Anthony Show.
Joining us is the Emmy Award-winning host of the PBS travel show, Beyond Your Backyard. You can also catch him on his YouTube channel, Erik the Travel Guy. Please welcome my old buddy, my old good friend. It's so nice to see you again, Erik Hastings. Welcome to the show.
Oh, you are very kind. It's good to see you. And Anthony, it's good to meet you in person, virtually.
Good to meet you too.
So how did you go from radio to being like a travel guy? I'm always amazed when like my old radio friends are suddenly like doing really cool stuff, because most radio people kind of, that's it. Like once it's like a block of cement. Once you've decided to step into radio, they got you.
That's about right. Yeah. You know, I don't know where it came from per se. I didn't really think that I wanted to do travel for a living, but I think it goes back to, you know, I would do anything that I could to get in front of an audience. You know, I love entertaining. And so as I look back on my career, and there is a back to look on these days, radio was a big part of a performance venue that would give me a chance to be in front of people, albeit. And I'm really glad, because, you know, I got my first job in radio when I was 15. I built a studio in my house when I was 10. I would make, you know, I made the best mixtapes in high school. Don't give yourself on the 1 and 2s. Yeah. We timed that all out. But I think.
So you're like Anthony 2.0. I guess you guys have a lot in common right there.
Exactly what I did. So followed that same, except I don't travel. So that's the only difference.
Wait, you're freaking me out right now. The glasses, the facial
goatee,
hair.
Yeah,
you guys are like separated at birth right now. You're freaking me out, but okay.
Sexy. The word is sexy.
Yeah, right. The two sexiest men on this Zoom
How
call.
lucky are you, Cooper?
Your day, Cooper, is looking up. Why have one when you can have 2.5 total?
I have no complaints here. I'm always up for a throuple.
Oh, stop it. Oh, God, I'm going to be sick.
So, travels. How'd you start traveling? That was the question originally.
Travel started. So I was doing a comedy service, which was technically my last radio job, working out of the WABC studios. We were a syndicated comedy service that I started all because I wanted to do bits on the morning shows, and I was doing that for Curtis and Kuby on WABC. And I figured, well, you know, some of the stories we talk about in New York would be funny in Chicago, and are funny in Dallas, and are funny in LA. And so I started doing that. So I built this service, and it was all delivered based on that morning's news. So it was come to work at 4:30 in the morning and deliver the first bit by 7, the second bit by 8. And at the time, this would have been, 2000, right around 2001. At the time, it was novel to deliver something via the internet to stations. It was all satellite, or it was CD, or it was record, you know. And my brother called me one day, and he said, you know, I know you're doing this comedy thing, but I'm working with this destination in Florida. Why don't you make a funny piece of audio for this tourism bureau? And because I got up at 4 a.m. those days, I went and looked at the website, and then I went to take a nap, and then I was laying there, and I was like, I called him back and I said, you know, if I've never been to this place in Florida, it doesn't need a piece of audio, it needs a video.
Right.
And at the time, nobody was really doing that. And that's how we started making, by all accounts, you know, short form, 3-minute destination overview videos about places around the world.
It's a brilliant idea. So who pays for all your travel? Because you go a lot of places and it's really expensive. Is it all sponsored?
Get a bill, right? Like you do. I was told what the. Okay, well, this interview's over.
That's why we do Zoom, you know. And you know, like just get a green screen and be like, now I'm in Hawaii. Now I'm in Rome.
Well, so I'm here in my office, but we built this because of the pandemic. Because we had to make more things and we weren't traveling as much. But who pays for it? We have sponsors who pay for it. And the sponsors don't, you know, influence my editorial for heaven's sakes. I have a lot more respect for the viewers and as you do with the listeners. I think they know what's what. And
yeah. We know they like you unless you bullshit them. And then if you bullshit them, they know. People know when you don't. When you're
they do know. And you know what? Contrary to what my ex-wife might tell you, I'm not a good liar. I kind of suck at it. I've never really been good at it. If my mom were still alive, she'd be like, "You were terrible."
Holy cow, we are the same person.
Yeah, it's really scary.
What are you doing for lunch later on?
Yeah, minus the travel, we're the same person.
I have faith in you. I think you would be an excellent world traveler.
I enjoy it when I did it. I did it for, what was that company? Clear Results or whatever. And as a radio company, you would go to Antigua or something like that and broadcast from there. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But the customs part, I really hated. That was
right.
And that's probably what you do all the time, and you probably do it well, but I hated it.
You're kind. It's funny. Like I'm a big fan of travel. Like, and of course I'm giving you a hard time because apparently we're brothers and I didn't know.
Yeah.
It. And I just saw the demo picture. I'm like, this guy seems nice.
I'm calling my mom tonight.
Great. Wouldn't you just love to have that be the last line of some exchange of any kind? Oh, really? Oh, well, then I'm calling my mom.
Mom, you got some explaining to do. You told me I didn't have a brother, and now I find out he's a travel guy.
I am of the belief, and again, my mom's not alive anymore, but for those that have moms and dads too, I'm a single dad, so like, and I have 2 girls, but I have always been of the belief it's not really true until you tell your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can kind of like. But if you tell your mom, that's it.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Now we can work with it.
Right. It's a very good point.
Short of that, and you're like,
Okay, how old are your girls?
My girls are 12 and 8.
And I got 2 boys. So it's like, 2 boys, 2 girls.
Cooper is now left. She just went to pop some popcorn. She's just going to sit there.
Well, oh my God, you guys are freaking me out because I have 2 dogs.
It's amazing.
Wow. We got to call your mom too. So what is one place that you would say, okay, you have got to go to this place. It will change your life.
The first time and the 100th time I was asked that question, I skated it. I was on a television interview. I don't remember what town I was in. And my executive producer, who was standing off to the camera, and I answered it the same way that I would have answered your question, the same way I told her. She said,
if we weren't brothers, then you would tell me that, but tell me the truth.
Well, so I was like, well, I don't know. It's hard for me to answer, blah, blah, blah. We got off the thing, and my executive producer looked at me, Kevin, he goes, you're just going to have to answer the fucking question.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay? Nobody's interested in your exposition. Nobody cares. They just want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
tell me Lindenhurst. Tell me something.
They own. I love it this time of year. Nice. No, and this came up at a cocktail party that I rarely go to, but this came up on Friday, so this is perfect. And I said, they were more specific with Europe, and I said Bern, Switzerland.
Mm-hmm.
Bern, Switzerland, to me, happens to be one of those places that just, as cliche as it sounds, it spoke to me. I would go back there in a heartbeat. Ephesus, Turkey, for history and culture. I happen to really love that. I'm absolutely, but that's me. Now I love food, I love booze, and I love history. And I'm kind of an outdoor light kind of guy.
Right.
They're always putting me in some funny hat or safety harness or helmet. They're stuffing the dad bod.
It's visual. They have to make it really fun and visual. And, we can't keep looking at you every single time.
We were in the Azores and they were like, well, we're going to climb up this waterfall. I'm like,
have fun.
The royal we, meaning me. They're telling me. I'm like, fine. I was, and fine, and I, before the trip, I just, knelt down beside my bed and I was like, God, it's me, Margaret. Let's just have this go well. So we go all the way the hell over there and it's raining profusely. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, you need to be in a wetsuit. A full body wetsuit.
Okay.
I'm like,
that's a very attractive look, by the way. I've done triathlons. They're very fetching.
Cooper, listen, I've seen full body shots of you, and unless something happened In
You know those photos of the snake that eats the mouse?
or the deer in this case. Now,
it's all going good. Then suddenly there's a big giant lump somewhere. Yeah, right.
I can tell you kind of where it is.
Yeah.
So now we are in the rain. We are delayed because of the rain, which is fine. It's, I'm with the guys that I shoot with, the crew that I shoot with. I'm with the Portugal people, whatever. We're all there. And I'm going to have to, and they're like, but don't worry, we got you a suit. And by the way, the guy that I was interviewing looked like the Old Spice guy.
Right.
That's what he's working with his wetsuit. They're like, don't worry, we got you an extra large. I'm like, that might do it.
So they called you fat. Yeah.
Giant. And of course, now this is the fun that the crew gets to have, because all they do all day long is listen to me blather on about whatever. They love it when it doesn't work out for me, and they love to watch me tap dance. It's fun for them, which brings me joy. So there's just stuff. This is European sizing. It's not even.
Oh God.
Oh no.
Yeah. It was, I kid you not, it was like a corset. Kevin was
right.
I swear, I have a couple of photographs from that trip with us laughing to tears. It's so funny because they know how terrible it was for me. And yeah, it was a great segment. Fantastic. It was too wet to go on the mountain, so we jumped off this cliff, and that's what you want. It's a nice action shot of
the snake jumping off the
Right.
Anyway,
it's very brave of you. What? All right. So I have a travel question for you. So I don't want to know where to go if you like food or history. Like I'm sure people love that stuff. I'm a huge hypochondriac. So if I want to travel, where can I go that there's like, if I need medical attention, or if I wake up in the morning and I'm really not feeling great, like what's the best place that I can travel? Because that's my only downside with traveling. I'm always like, well, what if I go and I get sick? What if I go and like food makes me sick? What if I go and like I break my leg? Like that's my biggest problem when I travel. So where's the safest place to travel?
Here's the problem with answering that question. There's kind of no way for me to not sound like a jerk. I'm going to really try, because I'm not, as you know. But look.
Don't leave your couch.
You need to just stay and watch my show. There's 50 episodes. I'm sure you'll be entertained. Find something.
I'll just live vicariously through you and be like, wow, I had a great time in Turkey.
Hey, believe me, I'll do a great job. You don't have to. Step one, I would tell you you're going to have to let that go. Now, the reason I say that is because a real subject, and I'm not saying yours isn't, but of course we're having fun. The real subject really is people sometimes go on vacation to fix their problems. And lo and behold, they figure out that their problems vacation with them. Like and actually it gets worse.
Right.
Because travel is so unnatural. Not only are we natural born explorers, it's in our DNA, but at the same time, we also I can tell you right now, my office is at about 66 degrees. I love it because I'm fat. I like the cold. I have a refrigerator full. My cats are here. The floor is, there's no bugs in my house.
Right. Why would you ever go anywhere?
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the secret. Okay. And I do recognize that, first of all, you can vacation in plenty of developing countries that would have very fine medical care. So you would be fine. And chances are you're not going to get ill. Statistically speaking, you're probably not. You're just not. You're not going to break your leg. You're not going to, what happens if you get some bad water, some bad chicken? You're going to, that's going to suck for about 12 hours, 6. I don't know.
But I bring my own food. Like I was in Mexico for a few weeks and I brought my own food. And when I ran out of food, I was like, well, time to leave Mexico. my mother's like, they have food here. I'm like, not for me. They don't.
No, they don't.
Again, this isn't your problem, but this is the same idea of people complaining about airline food. I'm like, why are you romanticizing airline food? It's always been bad. What are you talking about? And by the way, we can all skip a meal. Not you, Cooper. Say you got your time, but like, it's 3 hours to Dallas. Let it go already.
Right. You know, bring a Kind bar with you. You're good.
You're gonna be okay. If you bring some almonds, you're gonna be just fine. Have some water, a Bloody Mary, perhaps. But no, there's certainly. Well, that's one of the things that early on, you know, I used to. One of my tips was to get a passport. You know, and people say, "What do I do? What do I do?" Get a passport. You know, no. 50% of the country in this country doesn't have one, for God's sakes.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's and maybe it's gotten better. Maybe it's 40% now. Like
it's probably less now.
Well, and then you have this, but I mean, but that was early on, and when we started in 2007, that was one of the first things. Like, just get a passport. You'll use it more if you have one.
Right
now. Not with COVID, but just kind of through the years. It's one of the reasons I love doing this show called Beyond Your Backyard, because when PBS came along, they were like, what kind of show do you want to do? And at that moment in my career, I was like, well, I don't want to do backpacking and hostels and shit. I'm too old for that.
Right.
But I also don't want to do Uber luxury, because I don't think that helps people. I think it's a good show to watch, but I'd rather draw the conclusion that a lot of these, you know, bucket list places, there are similar experiences closer to your home. So why not start there?
Right.
Which really led to an increased appreciation for this country alone.
And I'm glad you said that, because that was my one big thing. I've been all over Europe. I lived in Ireland for a little while. Like, you know, I've been all over Europe, and I haven't seen this country enough. That was my big thing. So I was like, from now when I travel, I'm not leaving the United States, not because I'm a snob, because I just want to see more of my own country. There's some beautiful places here. You know, like I remember when I was, Anthony and I, we did the show all over the country. We were syndicated, but we did the show. He was in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was in New York. And I would go down to Charlotte to visit him. And there was this one weekend that I ended up in Asheville, North Carolina. Oh, my Lord. That is the most beautiful place I think I've ever been outside of like Colorado and, you know, Red Rocks in that area. Yeah. But like on the East Coast, I couldn't believe it. I was like, okay, that's it. Next trip I take, it's somewhere in the United States.
So right now, and I don't know the exact number. It's like 495 or 93 or some 400 figure places in the United States that is under the National Park Service. Okay, 400. We forget that the National Seashore, the National this, the
my tax dollars are paying for that shit. I'm gonna see it.
Hey, no, we got to go over there. I like that. Oh, I'm taking a picture. But there are 63 national parks. Okay. And you may be surprised to learn that the most visited national park, you think, oh, Volcanoes National Park in Hawaii, Yosemite, Grand Canyon. No, Great Smoky Mountains.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's not even close. Like the number, and again, I could look it up while we're here, but I mean, like the number is ridiculous.
We trust you. This is what you do for a living.
Yeah.
No, you would think I would know the figures. I have people. Well, I've got a plumber here because the help was complaining about the kitchen sink. I'm like, no.
Is that the help your children?
But what do you mean? It's slow. You're slow.
None of it. What country have you been to where you went, holy shit, the chicks are hot here? This is like a hot chick factory country.
Let me tell you something.
And you can, and guys like us, we can score. So that's the country I want to learn.
Romania.
Wow.
Always, hot girls in Romania.
Rebecca Romania Stamos is really hot. So
there you go. That's your evidence right there.
A couple of geniuses here. I do a lot of standing around, we're waiting on the crew and it's fine. We got to shoot the B-roll while we're there. So, if I'm not on the phone talking to my children who've come up with manufactured something that they need to buy for $8, right. I see a lot of attractive women everywhere. You just have to keep your eyes open and you will be surprised at how many there really are. Everywhere. But I think that's part of that for me. Now I'm divorced, so of course I do pay attention, but at the same time, I'm like, that's the thing that I love about it, is that you never know which one of these trips is going to change your life forever. Not like, that was a fun thing. I hope you saw my pictures on Insta. No, like you'll find the whole reason we're doing this was because of a trip that changed me. And it was in, of all places, Detroit. It was actually outside of Detroit.
Sounds
when
romantic.
We first started our first demo. It's still on my YouTube channel because I'm kind of a pack rat and I don't want to delete anything. It's so ridiculous. It looks like clean it out already. Let it go.
Digital pack rat. Yeah.
I swear to God, it is. Like 22-year-olds are like, get rid of that.
I can imagine that meeting though. Where do you want to go? Michigan. Okay, let's try that.
That was it. So that was the point, right? So my brother, who got me into this mess, says, well, I think our first demo should be in Detroit. I'm like, why? And he goes, because it's a shit box. And if you can accurately do what you say you think you can do with it, it'll be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And he was right, because of course there's terrible neighborhoods that you wouldn't be caught dead in all over the world. In every town in America, there's lots of places not to go.
Right.
Which is something we don't focus on. Why? Because I think the audience is smart enough to figure that out.
Right.
But we were at the Henry Ford Museum, and we were shooting just a quick thing about going to visit the Henry Ford Museum. Okay, it's fine. It didn't, And the tour guide, she was with the PR department. She's like, now over here, this is Kennedy's vehicle that he was assassinated in over here. And then over here, we got this train. I'm like, whoa. What?
Yeah. Hang on a minute.
The actual car is there?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, the car is there. And It's a hardtop because after the incident, they put a hardtop on it and they reused government vehicles. So you would think at the time they just put it back into service. So, okay. I was like, well,
dude's DNA is still all over it.
Cool.
Yeah. Wow. This is what I love about you, Cooper. You say things like that, man.
True. It's everyone's thinking it.
Thank you. So then we go around this other corner and he's like, okay, now over here, that's Rosa Parks' bus. And then over here we go, I'm like, what? You're like, yeah, that's the bus that Rosa Parks.
Did they put a top on that too?
You can go sit in it and sit in her spot.
No.
Listen to a docent tell the story. And I'm like, okay. And then, but this is what really got me. We're going around doing something else. And the guy was like, and then over there's that's the chair that Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in. Okay, now we're going to go to the lunch. And then I'm like, whoa.
Hang on a minute. Yeah.
We kept the chair. And then, of course, I realized Ford's Theater.
Right.
I'm like, so we walked over there. It's in glass, and it's a freaking chair. Like, there's nothing to it. But I'm like, that's the chair. And for me, that's a cool thing.
Right.
Like, I'm not morbid by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm absolutely fascinated by the places where historic things happened, that there's only one of those. So that's what I mean when and I don't know. To me, like, you were down in Charlotte, the U.S. Airways plane.
Yeah, it's in a museum here. Yeah,
in Charlotte.
Yeah.
I'm an aviation guy, so like that's really.
Oh, I saw aviation nerd on your bio.
Yeah,
I love that.
In that museum, did they have Knight Rider?
Do they?
No, I know. I'm asking you in Detroit. That's the chair that Lincoln got shot in, and that's Kit.
And there's Kit over there.
General Lee's over here. And there's the A-Team van. Damn.
There are some of these things. So we were out shooting in the Southwest, and we had overbooked our schedule. Like, not overbooked, but we had too many interviews. We were making one episode, but I think there's something to be said for we're all kind of based in the Northeast. So the further we travel, further or farther? I always forget. The farther we travel, the more work we think we have to do to make the same total running time. I don't know why that is. So anyway, we're over there, and we're on our last day, and we're in Forks, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Twilight. I saw the truck. Anyway, and they're like, you're going to go to the Timber Museum. I'm like, that sounds like a real.
Right.
And we don't need it. So there's that. So now if I've kind of checked out, we're on like day 4 of the shoot. And it's this roadside museum, what I would consider to be a roadside museum.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're there, I'm like, what's the deal? And they're like, yeah, it's all about the timber industry out here. I'm like, okay, fine. And in the car, I said to the guys, I'm like, let's see how many times I can work the word splinter into the interview. They're like, you suck. You're the worst. I'm like, so of course, this wonderful woman with the bouffant hair, she's like 70 and she's just lovely. I mean, like, that's the thing that you guys know. That's what I love. It's one of the things I personally love about this job.
Yeah.
And 3 feet from
the characters. Yeah.
And everything you need to know is in their eyes. Like every day. It's all there. You just have to look for it. You'll find out a nervous tick's coming out. They're going to stumble. Something's going to happen. You just don't know. It's all there. Anyway, so here she was. And we go like, I don't know, 30 seconds into this thing. And she goes, well, the town was founded by one family, I don't know who they were, the Wood family, who knows. And then in 1982 or whatever, the two brothers got into an argument and they didn't speak to each other for decades. And I was like, so are you saying the family splintered?
There's one.
I'm looking at her. I can't remember which side. I'm looking at her. I can see everybody over here in my peripheral vision. I just see the producer just walked away. He just walked over there. He left because he was like, no.
That's great.
8 minutes and 3 times.
You know what? That's a real... I'm really impressed with that because I would have chosen the word wood because that probably a little easier and a little more... Yeah, a little dirtier. But the fact that you went...
She's an old lady.
To the next level and did splinter is very impressive.
This will tell you, like, and post-production does this to me too. Like, they'll throw things in there, like the good, the bad, and the ugly's coming out. When you're on the road, like, I don't complain about this because I think in order to do this successfully, you have to really love the travel aspect of it, which I do. I love sleeping in hotels. I love being on airplanes, all this. And the crew. So I was driving because I just happened to be driving. I was driving and I didn't know they were shooting B-roll. And I had a very large bag of Cheetos.
Oh, no.
It wasn't like a grab bag. It was like a large bag.
Like a Costco size. Yeah. Family pack.
Throughout the week. And I had gotten to the end of it. And so I'm driving on the road and I got this giant Cheeto bag like this. And it's hitting the top of the car. And I didn't think anything of it until I found it in an episode in B-roll.
That's great.
Yeah, that's going B-roll. In the intro. That's going to be the intro of the show.
And I left it. I'm like, I could have pulled it, but I'm like, no.
No, it's perfect. Yeah, it's what Speaking of interviews, before we go, please tell Anthony about your interview with Jennifer Aniston. Because I saw that you had interviewed her, and that is...
In person or on the phone?
Yeah, tell him the story.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you the truncated one, but even it's a little wordy, but I like it. And my friend Andrew Kalb, I don't know if you know Andrew Kalb Cooper or not. I don't remember, but he was at ABC. If we were to call right now, he'd be like, "Oh, Erik, the guy who met Jennifer Aniston. This is 50 years ago." I got hired from my agency. It was my first gig, my first agent in New York, to go and host a promotional event for a new movie that was coming out with her called Picture Perfect. Show up, MC the event. Here's your t-shirt, wear a sport coat over it. Go to Planet Hollywood. Got it. Oh, I bring my friend Shadley because I'm like, I'm not doing this by myself. So he comes along and he knows the entertainment world more than I do. So he knows he can spot people. I'm in the green room. It's a very big room. And Tate Donovan comes in, talks to me, his group. He was very nice. 5 other people show up, all celebrities. And Jay Moore comes right up to me. Like, oh, yeah, man, we've met. We were at a party in L.A. Like, just kind of, I don't know Jay Moore. I'm sure he's a nice person, but he was kind of a...
You sure?
I don't know. I only met him once, and he insisted that we were friends. And I was like, listen, you're no Anthony. Piss off.
He thought you were me.
And he had like 9 people with him, right? Nobody knew who he was. Picture perfect. Somebody can do the research on the year we're working with here. Nobody knew who Jay Moore was. The biggest celebrity in the room was Jennifer Aniston. She arrived last with her friend, 2 people. I remember I saw her like across a crowded room, and she was over there, and she scanned the room, and she looked right at me and walked directly to me.
Wow.
And my friend Shadley's standing there. He was like, "Oh my God, Erik, you just." She comes over and she leans into me.
No.
You're killing him right now. Just by the way, that's his girl. You're killing him.
She put her hand on my chest.
Did you do the same?
And the picture perfect. What?
You should have done the same. Yeah.
Hello.
You're doing it to me. I can do it to you.
Hello. This is,
It's fair.
Her hand on my chest, and she looks at me, and I'm, I think she's a little shorter than me, but not much. And she said, "I love your T-shirt," because it had her logo of her movie on it. I'm like, "Thank you." And she said, "Erik, I don't really know what I'm doing here." And I said, "Well, good news. You can just stand right here next to me, and I'll take care of you." She was, and again, to the eyes, she was, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, be fine. Stand over here." So she stood right here with her friend, my friend over here. This is before we had cell phones. I would have taken a picture with her at that moment, but we didn't. And then we did this promotional thing, and she was fine. I was fine. She left. She looked at me, and she just gave me this, that's just the nicest tongue kiss that I know. Really, she said, "Thank you." And, talk about a please and thank you. I appreciated that.
What did she smell like?
This is 30 years ago, dude. I don't know.
Oh, come on. Every famous person I've met, I can tell you what they smell like.
I can tell you what Dan Rather smelled like, but that's another story.
Lady Gaga smells like vodka and cigarettes. What does Jennifer Aniston
No, that was me. What are you talking about? Yes. I request, Cooper, my Jennifer Aniston story.
And wait, and did you tell your mother about it? Because we want to make sure this story, we want to verify the story.
Yes. If mom, thank God mom's, and again, maybe it's kind of been embellished, but back to the beginning, not to bring it around. I'm not good at lying.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Next time we'll talk about Arnold Palmer. If you're a golfer, we did that.
We don't give a shit about any of that. We only want to hear about Jennifer Aniston, because that is Anthony and I have interviewed over the years a lot of
everybody,
A-list, and literally everybody except Jennifer Aniston.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one person he loves her.
How about Gerard Depardieu?
I don't even know who that is.
He doesn't know who that is.
19. I'm working for HBO.
He smells like whiskey and vomit, Anthony.
I'm 19. I need to mention this again. This is on camera, right? I'm 19 doing a round robin interview with Gerard Depardieu, this French actor. And I'm sitting in a director's chair with him like this, right? And I hand the tape to the guy, ask my first question. He answers in French.
No.
So it's in the tape. You can see me. I actually lean forward just to get a little closer to his mouth, because I'm like, I have to ask a follow-up. I can't. I don't know what he's saying. And he keeps talking. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's not French. That's bad English.
Oh,
like,
no.
What did he say at the beginning? I don't remember.
No.
19 is going through my head.
He needed caption. Live caption.
I did. I was like, it was a nightmare. He was nice as can be, but a nightmare.
Well, Erik Hastings, thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure. We will definitely have you back on. The show is Beyond Your Backyard, and you can find Erik on his YouTube channel, Erik the Travel Guy. There's also a link to your podcast and everything else you do. Erik, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.